ever been so drunk you woke up in the middle of the night and ordered a bunch of... Ugh, damn it. Have you ever had your wallet so packed full you just felt like wasting it on some stuff for the... God damn it. Ugh. Who keeps taking all my cash? Have you ever been so excited to spend money that you decided to spend $171 on titanium? Yeah, that happened, and I don't regret it. This Ti 64 has gotten a lot of my money lately, and this is what we're working with now. This is what $171 in titanium looks like. And no, I'm not bragging on spending money on my bike. I just really, really like working on this thing, and this has been my new kick lately, is just going through and replacing everything that somebody might point out on my bike as not being titanium. Looking at you, Dan. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. So this is the newest batch that showed up. I'm going to start swapping stuff out now. So we got some miscellaneous button heads here to finish up a project. I shorted myself on the last order I made. I ran a few short. Got some cap screws for the left hand and right hand controls. Got a stud and some nuts for my air shifter stud setup. These washers and bolts are for the rear sets. These button heads and bolts or nuts are for the tire temp sensor. I got one long bolt for the chain roller, and these are for the license plate. That's right, still got a license plate on it. Might as well have titanium hardware holding it down. And then these two fender washers are for the quick release pins for the gas tank for the hinge setup. So I'm going to go ahead and weigh all this stuff as it is, and then I'm going to weigh all of the old hardware when I get it off the bike, and we'll see if there's any kind of a difference. I'm not really looking for a difference. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing it because titanium is just cool, and it's nice to have specific bolts for each thing on the bike instead of me constantly just digging through my miscellaneous bolt bin and hoping I find something that matches. So little by little, I'll probably replace everything on the bike because it's a sickness, but let's get started on just changing out some bolts. So a couple weeks back, I got a little bit of flack for my color choice on my shifter. It was this was metallic blue, and then this was like a neon yellow. It actually at one point it matched the GSXR side graphics that were on the bike. Those aren't on the bike anymore, so this piece just kind of stood out. But at the time, I thought it was kind of cool. But a couple of pictures people saw of it pointed out that I needed to change that up. So I went ahead and redid this guy in black, and then just highlighted the holes a little bit with countersink, bring some silver out, so a little contrast. So we'll go ahead and put that on. That was a quick little project I did at work. And then I run a pin in the bottom clevis on the shifter. And then, I don't know if you guys have ever seen anything like this. It's a safety clip for an RC car body. And actually it makes getting the shifter pin kind of a bitch to get on and off, but it's easier than taking a nut and a bolt out every time I got to redo something or, access the front cover for whatever reason. So, little trick, if you go to a hobby shop, you can get these things for like pack of 50 for like $5, but they literally the pin will actually be captured. The head of the pin actually gets captured in that little circle there. So this sucker literally cannot fall off once you snap it on there. So everything stays free, but yet that pin can't come loose. So little trick if you think about it. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Use a nut and bolt. Well, kiddos, this is where I tell you should probably save your money and spend it on other things that'll make your bike go fast, besides just fancy bolts that look cool. But they're fancy bolts and they look cool. That's the point. This is the pile of crap I took off the bike. It's stainless, and some of it's just hardened steel. It is nothing fancy to look at, and it was mostly stuff that came out of my bolt bin when I was putting things together for whatever I needed a bolt for. I tried to find matching sets and things that looked okay, but they weren't titanium. That's the cool part. This pile versus the old pile of titanium, 7.28 ounces versus 4.78 ounces. So not quite half the weight savings in bolts, and we're talking ounces here. Grand scheme of things, this isn't going to matter, and it's not going to make the bike go faster. And it was $171 I could have spent on other things, but frankly, this is what I enjoy spending my money on. Work a lot of overtime to do this, and it's just fun. So why not? And now it's nice to have, instead of this mixed bag laying here, it's nice to have like specific size bolts and type of bolts for whatever application that's on the bike, because a lot of the bike isn't even, it's not OEM stuff anymore. So just to have matching bolts that just happen to be really light titanium, that's cool in my book, and I'm going to keep going with it. The bike is probably only about 3/4 titanium at this point for hardware wise, so I'm going to keep looking stuff up and buying stuff as I get the cash to do it. So that was a pretty easy little night of modifications tonight. So we'll look for something bigger and better next time. See you later.